My name is Crystal. I'm laying on my bathroom floor. It's clean, I promise. And I am going to talk to you guys about deleting your social media for at least a month.
No, God! No, God, please, no!
Or at least my journey in this process. So I just want to start off with a little disclaimer. I am not bashing social media. I am not here to demonize it. I think it is a very useful tool for the people of our generation in spreading accurate information. Obviously, it's not always accurate. Sometimes it can be just as propagandized as the news is, but I feel like with everything that's going on, it's so important to spread accurate information, and I find that people, especially the youth, are being a lot more mindful of what they're saying and how they're saying it to a certain extent. I do believe to some extent that social media is toxic. I do believe that it's the new modernized way of connecting with people, of sharing ideas. It's just a new form of information spreading. So I'm not saying that there's anything that is a bad thing, that we have social media, that we spend our time on social media, because I'd be a hypocrite to say that. But what I will say is that social media, as with everything, comes with its pros and cons, but sometimes, especially during difficult times like these, the cons can really outweigh the pros. And I don't want you guys to feel like you're obligated to be on social media because everyone else is on social media, or because it just seems like the popular thing to do, or because you don't know yourself without social media, or you feel like you need it in order to distract yourself. Like, there's so many things I kind of want to get into with this, but I'm just saying I'm not demonizing it. I appreciate it for what it is, but what is the saying? Too much of a good thing, like, isn't always the best for you. That's not the quote, but I'm nervous, so we're just gonna move on from that.
Hi.
Okay, so I originally deleted my social media because with everything, particularly following the murder of George Floyd, I really had to take a step back and reassess my life. Now, following George Floyd's murder and the protests, and really everything that followed that fatal day, the first 2 weeks or so, I was SJW crazy, and that's an acronym for Social Justice Warrior. I would tell people, hold on, I have to go SJW for a bit. I have to go Social Justice Warrior for a bit, because I was so enamored by social media. I was so enamored by the fact that this information was spread so vastly, so quickly. I liked that I had a platform that I could talk to people and express my feelings on things, and no one could tell me anything because we're all entitled to our own opinions. It's our own social media. You can do what you want with it. But my point is, I just really felt like, I don't know if I want to say God, but I felt like something inside of me was telling me that I needed to be on social media, and I needed to stay up to date with what was going on, and I needed to be a part of the change. And the only way in my head at the time to make an actual impact was through social media. However, I found myself becoming so enamored by social media that I feel like in other parts of my life, I was losing that energy, or I was losing myself. When I would be in school or when I would be working, I would find myself thinking about social media, particularly Instagram, and I would be thinking about the images that I had just seen, or whatever articles I had just read that had really truly triggered me emotionally. And I would find that my anxiety was just entirely heightened to this new degree that I've never experienced. I couldn't put my phone down. My phone always had to be near me, and I found myself just overexerting myself to the point of exhaustion, and to the point of thinking, I care about this so much, but I feel like the change that I am seeking, it's not happening, or it's not happening when I want it to happen, or it's not tangible. So I need to keep pushing myself until I see what I want to see. And that is when I realized that I needed to slow down. And there's a lot going on in the world. I don't have to get into detail with that, about that. But when you're constantly immersing yourself in that, when you are constantly watching traumatizing videos and seeing very disturbing, horrific images of people being shot, you know, abused, sexually assaulted, when you're reading these stories and you're internalizing all this information, I personally feel like two things could happen. You become so entirely desensitized to it that it doesn't affect you in the way that it used to, the way that would be considered the most appropriate. And so you can see this information and you can see these images and these videos, and it may not strike you to your core the way that it used to, because now you've built up a sort of tolerance for it. And in a way that is a good thing, because it is good to not become so emotionally stunted when we witness things that are very triggering and difficult to see. However, I do feel like it is a natural human response to feel that emotion and to kind of let that emotion consume you, because the things that we've seen so far are absolutely horrible and inhumane. So I feel like it's only humane to react to it in that manner. So that's the first thing that could happen. And then the second thing that could happen is you just become so consumed by the sadness and the emotions that you're feeling that you can't cut it off. You experience burnout, and you're just like, I can't keep seeing these people die. I can't keep hearing all of these negative things, because now everything just seems pointless. And that's the part I was at. I could not separate my actual life from, I would say, my virtual one, from what I was witnessing on social media on a daily basis. So now I want to talk to you guys about how it benefited me. So the first couple of days, it was pretty difficult. It was like I felt like I was missing a part of myself, an extension of myself, because if you know me, I'm always on Instagram. I'm always posting something or sharing something or like ranting about something. Like, that's just who I am. Like, I'm a very opinionated person. I just like to connect with people. That's my point. So for me, not having that platform to do that, I did feel pretty isolated. I felt like, I wouldn't say that I didn't have anyone, but I felt like I was missing a crucial part of my life. And that's really crazy to think that we dedicate so much of our lives to technology. We dedicate so much of our lives to connecting with people virtually, and I feel like in some way we kind of miss out on connecting with people personally, and like physically connecting with people. And I value that so much, and I've come to value that even more during this time because I deleted social media. When I deleted it, I immediately felt a sense of peace. Another feeling I had to deal with was guilt, because I felt like, oh, if I'm not on social media, I'm not making a change, I'm not helping in any way, and how can I say I care about these issues if I'm not using the only platform that I have to make a difference? That's bullshit. I feel like a lot of people feel as though they have to post consistently about these issues. Don't get me wrong, there are people that do genuinely care and do want to spread awareness, and so they're doing that. But I also feel like a lot of people after a certain point kind of got tired of doing that, but they still post, like, will post a little like Black Lives Matter or some type of statement, every other day or like once a day just to let people know it's still on my mind, to me that's performative. And I didn't want to engage in that. I don't think I was. Every time I post something, it's meaningful, especially to me, and I want you guys or whoever follows me to look at it and to read it and to understand it and to gain something from it. But I do feel like the guilt that I felt kind of showed me that you can get to a point where you're not even being yourself, or you're not even posting what you want to post, or posting about your interests and your hobbies or whatever on your own social media, because you're so afraid of how other people are going to perceive you. You're afraid people are going to think that you're enjoying your life like it's a bad thing. First of all, it's not a bad thing to find, you know, happiness, or to do positive things for yourself when the world is going to shit. It's the only way that you can really cope with this, is to find a way to sift through all of the horrible things we've been experiencing and find some type of light, something to keep you going. And I feel like people would just feel so obligated to post about these issues, when in reality the reason you're posting what you're posting is not because you care about it. You're posting it because you feel like you want people to know you care about it, you know? Like, to me that was performative, and I just felt like I didn't want to fall into that. Also, I really enjoyed not having to check my phone every 5 seconds. It made me realize that I didn't need social media. You don't need social media to be happy. First of all, you really don't. If you base your happiness in how many likes you get, or how many people watch your story, or anything like that, like, you're, in my opinion, you're not really taking the most advantage of your life. You can get to a point where you lose yourself in it, and where you become so consumed by it that you're not even living your actual life. And that's what scared me about social media. And that's another thing I realized while I didn't have it, because I'm like, okay, well, now I'm not checking my phone every 5 seconds. I'm not seeing what other people are doing. I'm not trying to prove myself to anyone now. So what do I have here? Who is Crystal? What does Crystal like to do aside from being on social media? I had to really look within myself and figure myself out and what I wanted to do, because I realized whatever issues I was facing, I really wasn't actually taking the time to learn or to grow from those issues. It was just a false reality that I became really consumed by, because it's like, well, I may feel like shit now, but no one on the internet knows how I really feel or what I'm really going through. And that false reality can honestly be really toxic, because then you would rather be that version of yourself than be who you actually are. I feel like humans have a tendency to try to categorize ourselves, because when you categorize things and people, it makes them easier to understand. And we're naturally curious beings, so it's easy to fall into that. But I feel like we are so complex, and we just have to understand that. And so when you're on social media and you're seeing this person post like all these selfies of them traveling the world and seeming so happy and just having this seemingly unrealistically perfect life, you have to be able to really take a step back and reevaluate whether, one, if what you're looking at is even an accurate representation of this person's life, and two, if this is the life that you want so desperately. Why are you stalking someone else's page instead of putting in the work to achieve that for yourself? And that was another thing I learned. To me, the biggest part of not having social media is the character development that I've achieved during this time, as well as just living in the moment. And that's like the main thing too. Why do we feel a constant need to show other people, or to prove to other people that we are happy, or to prove to other people that we're productive citizens, that we have lives? You know, you yourself are aware that you have a life because you're the one living it. Why do we keep seeking external validation from other people? You are contributing to this kind of false reality. You're putting out what you want people to see. And that stems from this need for validation and this need to be heard and to be seen, but only in the socially acceptable ways. As far as like not taking in information as much, that's understandable. With social media, like, it's a really big platform and it's a way to remain aware. But as far as addressing that guilt, what I found was that it wasn't that I couldn't handle this information that was being thrown at me. It was the fact that I couldn't filter it. And the best part about not having social media really is that you can choose what you read and you can choose what videos you want to watch or what images you want to see. So instead of going on social media, maybe I'd go on the CNN app and read an article about a specific issue that I want to learn about that day. And that was better for me, and that's helped me maintain a more realistic mindset and a more, I would say, a less demanding mindset. Because like I said before, I wanted to see immediate change and I wasn't receiving it, and it made me angry and frustrated and depressed. Now I can actually take the time out to look at whatever particular issue that I'm really interested in that day and learn about it and choose what I want to see, and also just doing your research about who your source is and the information that you're reading. And you can decide how much you're intaking. And then I'm just gonna leave you guys with this last benefit that I received from this entire process, which would really be living in the moment. I didn't get into this too much earlier, but I love just being here and being present. But imagine this. Imagine having taken that time to focus on your issues, right? They're not going to be solved overnight. It's a daily task. It's something that you have to work towards every single day, and you have to put in that effort and that energy and remain mindful of what you're attempting to achieve, right? I feel like you find that the more that you're on social media, the less happy you really are. At least that's for like me, you know. I don't want to speak for anyone, but the memories that I cherish are when I'm with other people, when I'm with my friends, when I'm with my family, when I'm reading a really good book or watching a really good documentary that taught me something, when I have a funny moment with someone. Like, those are the instances in my life, the experiences in my life that I really value, and I would love more of those. And I would love to not feel like I have to publicize every happy moment in my life, you know, because some things I just want to keep sacred for me. And also I feel like this is just my life, and I'm just living in this moment. I don't feel the need to pull out my phone during this anymore, you know. The second that I take out my phone that's taking away from the moment. I feel like you can capture a moment, but then to constantly feel like every single moment needs to be publicized and every single moment needs to be documented for other people to see, that's when it's like you're not really doing it for yourself anymore. You're doing it for some sort of validation. And there's nothing more that I hate in this world than feeling like I need someone else to validate me or my self-worth or how my life is panning out. I just want to have my own opinion about myself and be happy with myself and the journey that I'm embarking on. That way, when you do approach social media again, when you are back at it, you're not so overwhelmed or so overly consumed or immersed by these false realities. And you're also not gonna compare yourself as much because you've kind of found yourself and what really matters to you during that time. So that's why, and I'm gonna end on this, you will never get back your past, right? Like, life is fleeting. Like, I just sat here for 30 minutes filming this. Like, this is 30 minutes I'll never get back. Make your time useful and meaningful to you. Don't spend your life a mindless drone staring down at your phone all the time. Life will pass you by. It goes by in the blink of an eye. The older we get, like, the more we'll understand this, but it really just comes down to to being present and appreciating every moment that you have here, because every moment here, it really is a blessing, even though sometimes it really feels like it's not, you know. But that's just my couple cents. I was gonna say 2 cents, but that was a couple cents on what I feel like I had to do for myself, and why I think it'd be a really good idea to delete your social media for a little bit and to get in touch with yourself during this time. The world is really turning into just a giant computer and technology is taking over the world and will continue to. So that's why it's so important to remember what's really important. It's so important to focus on the things and the people that make you feel alive, that make life worth living. But anyway, I'm done because I'm tired of laying on this bathroom floor and my camera's about to die. So I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.